Hello and welcome to the Faceting Lab. My name is Nick, and in today's video I'm going to be talking to you about this Chromium Oxide or Chrome Oxide lap. Maybe some of you don't know what it is, maybe some of you have bought one and don't know how to cut with it, or are struggling with getting a good polish on your gems. I'm just going to run over a few things with you in this video that might help you out. I'll give you some tips and tricks on how to use it, and hopefully that will help you. Usually when you use chrome oxide, it comes as a powder form and you would use it on a wooden lap or a tin lap with other compounds on it. But I have found this solid chromium oxide polishing lap, and it has been working extremely well for certain gems, and I'll get into that in a moment. But just to sort of get you to understand what sequence I use with these laps. For example, here I've got a 600 grit on my master lap. I have got a sintered lap, which is about a 1300, 1400, and then a copper polishing lap, which I would use a diamond compound on. But since I've had this chrome oxide lap, I actually haven't been using the diamond powder at all. Only for sapphires have I been using the copper lap. Of course, there are laps before this 600, so I would either use a 100 or 280, and then the 600, 1300, and then the 4000 grit diamond powder, usually used for a pre-polish. And then after that, I would go to a 50,000 grit diamond powder on a separate lap. I will just say, if you are polishing very expensive material, I would stick to the diamond because you are able to get a little bit more accuracy with the copper lap. But for anything else, if it's not too expensive, anything from low to medium grade, I would use the chrome oxide. But anyway, enough talking about the lap. Let's get into it. I'll show you a few tips and tricks on how to use it. If you have one and you're struggling with it, hopefully this video will help you. So I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of my setup. I'm currently using the Ultratech V5 digital faceting machine, and of course we've got the lap on already. I have noticed with this lap, the best speed to run it at is at 3. Look, your electricity might be different, so 3 speed might be too fast. So I tend to run it at a little bit of a lower speed than I would the diamond laps. And the water I put on about 1 drop per second. That is the maximum, because this lap tends to hydroplane the stone instead of polishing. So running it at a lower speed with a little bit less water, seems to make all the difference. So I currently have a green tourmaline from Namibia that I'm faceting. It is quite a small stone, but I have polished much bigger stones with this lap and it works great. But this is what I'm doing now, and I just sort of wanted to explain to you how I go about polishing, because there's a certain technique I use to get it to polish perfectly every time. So I'm just going to run that through with you now, and then show you how it's done. Well, the first thing that I do when I'm polishing with this lap is I run it counterclockwise, which means the lap spinning this way. And I want to make sure that the gem sits somewhere on this side of the lap. I don't want it here, because if you move the stone towards this side and the lap is spinning this way, there's a chance that the stone will catch on this side and completely break your machine, because the motor on this Ultratech V5 is extremely strong. It's got a lot of torque, so if anything catches on this side, it will completely damage your mast. It might not break, but it'll definitely bend or snap off or something like that. So as a rule of thumb, when I'm polishing, I tend to polish this way with the, or on this side of the lap, with the lap spinning clockwise. So now that we have that in mind, and as you can see, my gem is on this side of the lap, I've created like a little pizza slice in my mind of where the gem should be. But currently I'm cutting at 44 degrees, or the gem is already cut at 44 degrees. But as you can see, I have set the angle at 44.05. And why do I do this? So that it gives a little bit of room to 44 degrees. So by the time I'm finished polishing this facet, it will be at exactly 44 degrees where I want it to be. So it's always good to give a little bit of room while you're polishing, just so you're at that correct angle. Because if you, let's say, polishing at 40 degrees and you know your critical angle is just below 40 degrees, you don't want to go past there, otherwise the gem will be windowed. So I just tend to give it a little bit of room before polishing. Another very important piece of information is the lower your angle, the more you give. So if I was cutting at 38 degrees, I would give it 0.6. If I was cutting at 15 degrees, I would give it a full 1 point. So let's say 30.10. Because it tends to cut a lot faster or polish a lot faster at those lower angles. So I think let's just hop in and start polishing. Just going to turn the water on to about 1 drop a second, and we're gonna get it going. So of course I have my speed on 3, which is perfect. It might seem a little bit slow, but you've just got to trust the process. So I'm going to set the index. 24 is the one I'm polishing. I will show you a close-up of the gem after it is polished with this lap, just so you can have an idea of what it's like and the quality of these laps. Now, as you can hear, it's not the best sounding lap, but it is, yeah, this is currently my favorite lap. So here's the close-up of the gem. You can see the tip of the stone I cut with the 1300 grit, so it is still frosted. But the bottom 2 rows I have polished with the Chromium Oxide. So the top row of facets it is a little bit dirty from the tissue I used to clean the stone. But the rest of the facets are perfectly polished. There are no scratches. Now, of course, some of you do not have the Ultra Tech, and the speed might differ for you. But just as a rule of thumb, keep the speed low, and you should be good to go. Polishing, I would keep it just above the minimum speed on whatever machine you're using. A very hard these laps do come in an 8-inch to slow down and a 6-inch, and we don't want that. It should fit and your machine. I try my best to use the entire lap during the strokes that I use. And usually what I do is I do 1 or 2, maybe 3, but because I've gotten used to it now, I know sort of exactly how many times I should swipe on the lap. But if I were you, if you are trying this out, I would give it 1 or 2 swipes at a light to medium pressure and have a look at the facet with your 10 or 20 times loop and see what it's doing, if it needs cheating or if you're happy with the way it is. Because going from a cutting lap to a polishing lap, there's deemed to be some kind of misalignment. But by cheating, you can correct that early on in polishing. And once you have that cheat value, then you can continue with the stone the rest of the way. Somehow with this stone, I haven't had to cheat at all, and it seems to be going quite well. So yeah, I'm just going to continue with these facets, and then I will show you once I'm done. So here is the close-up. I tried my best to get as clear of a picture as possible with my macro lens, just so you can see the quality of the polish. Of course, there are only 3 levels to this pavilion, but all of them came out pretty aligned. I didn't see any misalignment on the polishing lap. But yeah, I'm just going to transfer the stone, cut the crown, and just to save you guys some time on this video, I'll just skip ahead to the polishing of the table, just because there's a few little things that you need to keep in mind when polishing the table. Okay guys, sorry for the quality. It is night time and the light is not so strong, but I have finished the crown and the girdle with that lap, and now I'm going to do the table of the gem, and I will show you how to do that as well. There are a few little things to keep in mind when polishing the table, so I'll show you as soon as I get to that part. I'm just going to cut the table in, and then I'll show you when I'm polishing. Now, as you can see, when I've set the stone off the lap, I've got it at 44 degrees, which means the stop that I use is at 44 degrees, which is a degree below where I want to cut at. So when I'm polishing, I set the angle on the lap. So while the stone is touching the lap, I'll set 45 degrees on there without using the stop. That just makes sure that the gem is always on the lap when you are polishing. As you know, a lap is not completely flat. There are bumps, there's grooves, so the stone does go up and down slightly. If you have a stop on exactly 45 degrees, it might be able to go higher, but it can't go lower in those dips of the lap. Of course, they are extremely minute, but they're still there, they still exist. So you always want to set the angle on the lap when you are polishing, not cutting. When you're cutting, you set the exact degree on the stopper. With the table, I still set it on 3. I did that to dry the lap. Clockwise, the same. Everything is the same. So your speed, the amount of water, everything is exactly the same. It's just we leave 0.1 and we set the angle on the lap. I'm just going to go ahead, polish the stone with it, and I will show you some close-up photos or videos of it afterwards. So here is the close-up of the gem once it's finished. The polish came out really well. There's so much life to this gemstone. The color is there, the light's there. I was really happy with it. I did, however, forget to explain that when you are polishing the girdle, if you do polish, I know some people just pre-polish the girdle, but you would set it on the lap at 90.01 degrees as well on each of the side facets or girdle facets, and you will get quite a nice polish on the girdle. Now, of course, not everybody has an Ultratech with a digital angle display, but I have used this lap on analog machines as well, very old machines, some of the new analog machines, and there are different ways to set the angle to where you want, but on those machines, usually you just do it by eye. You can set the exact angle, touch the stone on the lap at that angle, and give it a few swipes and see how it comes out. It is quite forgiving, unlike the diamond, where any mistake you make, you can see, with this it's different. Also, here are 2 other stones that I have finished with this lap, with the stone we have just done in the middle. The blue one came out extremely well as well. I mean, it is almost exactly the same as the diamond polishing lap. I have seen no difference between the two when it comes to polishing. The only reason I use the diamond here and there is either for sapphires, because they're a lot harder, or very expensive material, just to get that exact precise alignment on each facet. But yeah, if you want to start faceting and you want a quick and easy way to start, I would highly recommend the Chrome Oxide. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I have never done anything like this before, so I really hope you guys learned something and that you enjoyed watching. If you do have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments down below and I'll get to them as soon as possible. If you do have a video idea or you want to see something in the future, let me know as well and I'll definitely make a video on it. But yeah, thank you so much for joining the Faceting Lab and I hope you have a wonderful day. Cheers.